everyone, this is CryptoBug operating CalCrypto channel. This channel is created to verify the proper value of coins listed on the crypto asset exchange. Many people say that cryptocurrency valuation by the traditional method is inappropriate. However, this CalCrypto channel will prove that it's not true. For reference, traditional methods refers to relative valuation methods such as EV/EBITDA or P-ratio. There are two versions of cryptocurrency valuation methodology, general theory and corporate governance. In this video, I will introduce the general theory. For reference, this methodology is registered with the Korea Copyright Commission and is under copyright protection. Accounting for the sale of crypto assets has yet to be determined. However, there are many consistent views on accounting for holdings, such as IFRS, US GAAP, and AICPA. So in this video, I just regard cryptocurrency as an intangible asset in order to derive the cryptocurrency valuation methodology. The evaluation target is non-security type cryptocurrency, excluding security type. If so, you might be wondering where to use this methodology. The first use is to calculate the public offering price when crypto asset exchanges conduct an IEO. The second use is to compare fair market value after listing with cryptocurrency valuation, just like target price in the stock market. You will see the three diagrams in the video. The balance sheet on the far left. This is what a typical corporate balance sheet looks like. Middle enterprise value diagram describes the capital item replaced by the market capitalization of the stock market. This will have the effect of increasing intangible assets. The far right shows the process of calculating crypto value by separating increased intangible asset. Now let me explain one by one. As we all know, liabilities and equity make up assets. These assets are classified into tangible assets, intangible assets, and other assets. For convenience, the other assets were not diagrammed in the video. It is noteworthy that the book value of the intangible asset consists of non-intellectual capital and intellectual capital. Typical intellectual capital includes industrial property rights, development cost, license, etc. Whereas goodwill, software, membership, etc. would be non-intellectual capital. Intangible assets classified as intellectual assets here are closely related to the increase by market capitalization on the next page. If the capital is replaced by the market capitalization of the stock market, the enterprise value will be calculated. This enterprise value results in the increase in intellectual capital. The next screen is the breakdown of the increased intellectual capital of intangible assets. What you see on the screen is not the result of my personal imagination. I just introduced the contents of the research results by Korea Intellectual Property Office, KIPO, and Korea Institute of Intellectual Property, KIIP. In the white paper for cryptocurrency, most important fact is manpower, cold team, and technology. According to the research result of KIPO and KIIP, intangible assets can be classified into customer capital, human capital, and structural capital. Among these, human capital and structural capital match with manpower and technology in the white paper. So I defined human capital and structural capital as crypto value and named the portion of the crypto value in intellectual capital crypto weight. People usually say the white paper should be composed of four kinds of T's. The first T is team, which is manpower or organization. The second T is tech, which is technology or intellectual property. The timeline and token are incidental. So according to the Korean Intellectual Property Office and Korea Institute of Intellectual Property, manpower and technology in the white paper correspond to human capital and structural capital. These can be obtained through accounting expenditure accounts in the fiscal statement, the report states. I introduced these previous research results into my cryptocurrency valuation methodology. This was the first time in the world, so copyright registration was successful. This is the process of calculating crypto value in details. I named this process crypto value formula. First of all, let's look at the definition of some terms before explaining the contents. These are general terms used in valuation, which may be unfamiliar to those who are new to it. In additional video shoots in the future, I will introduce the process of calculating the value of the actual listed cryptocurrency, so you can skip it for now. And the equity market value in the square box below means the market capitalization. Depending on the issue is listed or not, you can choose one of two calculation methods. EV has already been explained. It will be easier to understand if you refer to the diagram at the bottom right. ITA value in the square box stands for intangible asset value, which means intellectual capital increased by market capitalization. ITA value can be obtained by subtracting tangible asset, non-intellectual capital, and other assets from enterprise value. Other assets are omitted here for convenience. After this deduction, intellectual capital is calculated out of intangible asset increased by market capitalization. I have already explained the intellectual capital consists of customer capital, human capital, and structural capital. Finally, the crypto value is calculated by multiplying ITA value by crypto weight. For reference, crypto weight is calculated by the portion of crypto value in intellectual capital. In 2017, financial authorities banned ICO for the sake of investor protection. So the blockchain industry had difficulty in raising capital. As a result, IO became an alternative. But there was no proper way to calculate the crypto value, so it was hard time because there was no cryptocurrency valuation methodology. However, if you use the methodology introduced here in the video, you can transparently calculate the fair value without such difficulties. The reason why I opened this methodology is that I got the answer from the newspaper. It is impossible to publish article under private rather than organization. Similarly, I got the feedback from the crypto asset exchange that my methodology is not the one they are looking for. I felt that they are looking for the calculation model such as Black-Scholes. However, what I can tell you for sure through this video is that cryptocurrency is not derivative, so it is impossible to find the crypto value. The point is that the value of the cryptocurrency can never be calculated by a model like Black-Scholes. Why? This is probably because cryptocurrency has no underlying asset. Therefore, the valuation model based on accounting approach, such as the methodology introduced here, is inevitably appropriate. Now, I wrap the first video here. From the next video, I will calculate the real crypto value through the actual cases. Materials related to the video can be downloaded from the blog Invitation to the Invisible World. Like, subscribe, alarm is a big help to me. Thank you. Hello, I'm CryptoBug operating CalCrypto channel. In today's video, I'm going to introduce the cryptocurrency valuation methodology related to corporate governance part 1. For better understanding, let's calculate the fair value with the examples of Bora and Clayton. In the last video, the results of Korean Intellectual Property Office and the Korean Institute of Intellectual Property were applied, and intangible assets were regarded as intellectual capital and classified into human structural customer capital. In addition, it was introduced that manpower and technology are highly related to human and structural capital among intellectual capital, and the value of the intellectual capital and cryptocurrency can be calculated through accounting expenditure accounts. I briefly mentioned the main contents of the last video. The purpose of this video is when the consolidated company is a listed company, it is to figure out how to calculate the fair value of cryptocurrency depending on whether a subsidiary or affiliate issuer is listed or not. As before, the target is non-security type ST, and significance is calculating of IEO offering price and comparing the trading price after listing with the fair value of cryptocurrency. This is the case of a listed consolidated company with a number of listed subsidiaries or affiliates, and then the consolidated company and its subsidiary each hold cryptocurrency. In other words, when the consolidated company is a listed company, I'm going to find out the process of calculating the fair value of cryptocurrency depending on whether a subsidiary or affiliated issuer is listed or not. A typical example is the Kakao Group. The consolidated company Kakao owns Clayton, and Kakao Games owns Bora. So in the next screen, I prepared the specific calculations for Clayton and Bora. First of all, look at the crypto value formula. At the bottom right, there is a related formula in the smallest square box. and there is a formula of calculating crypto value at the level of a consolidated company. It means that the crypto value of subsidiaries and affiliates is subtracted from the total crypto value by the percentage of their respective holdings. First, I'm going to calculate the crypto value of Kakao Games Bora. Financial information is an extraction from annual and quarterly report, which can be downloaded through DART electronic disclosure website. First of all, organize the human, structural, customer capital into crypto and non-crypto through the operating cost in the notes to financial statement, and then calculate the crypto weight as of the end of March 2023 is 72.8%, and organize the details of intangible assets into intellectual and non-intellectual capital. The classification criteria are introduced in details in the first video, so please refer to it. And organize current and other assets, tangible assets, total assets, and liabilities in millions of Korean won. Then calculate the market capitalization by multiplying the stock price at each point in time by the number of issued shares, and then calculate the crypto value according to the crypto value formula. The important thing here is that Kakao Games has to deduct the crypto value of its subsidiary Neptune. The adjusted total crypto value after subtracting Neptune is 522.7 billion Korean won. And then this is divided by the total number of issued cryptocurrencies in order to calculate the Bora crypto value per coin. The fair value of Bora calculated according to the methodology is 434 Korean won per coin, and the corresponding period is from August and September of 2022. The trading price level is lower than the fair value. It means that it is undervalued. Calculate the value of cryptocurrency in the same way for Kakao Pay. The difference from Bora is that Kakao Pay does not have any listed subsidiaries, so there is no deduction adjustment like Kakao Games. The encryption ratio of Kakao Pay is 76.0%, which is similar to that of Kakao Games. The encryption ratio means crypto weight I defined in the methodology. Subsequently, after organizing the details of intangible assets, the balance sheet, the market capitalization is calculated, and then calculate the value of the cryptocurrency according to the crypto value formula. The calculated total crypto value comes to 3.39 trillion won. The reason why it is quite large is that Kakao Pay is doing the financial settlement business. Calculate the value of cryptocurrency in the same way for Kakao Bank affiliated. The crypto weight of Kakao Bank is 92.0%. The calculated total crypto value comes to 5.06 trillion won. This time, the value of the cryptocurrency is calculated at the highest Kakao level. Similarly, organize operating cost, details of intangible assets in balance sheet from the annual and quarterly reports. The crypto weight of Kakao Corp is 76.1%, and the value of a cryptocurrency is 5 trillion won. The process of calculating crypto value will be enlarged in the next screen. The adjusted total crypto value is calculated by subtracting the crypto value of 3 companies, such as games, pay, bank, by the share ratio from the value of Kakao cryptocurrency. Then 2.7 trillion won comes out, and if it is divided by the total number of issued cryptocurrencies, then you will get 472 won per coin of Clayton crypto value. In terms of timing, February 2003 seems to be the closest time to the fair value. Like Bora, the trading price of Clayton is lower than its fair value, which means it is undervalued. I think this undervaluation is due to a massive discount on the Kakao Group as a social troublemaker. Here I have summarized the crypto value formula once again. I think you now understand what the formula means on the screen. If the consolidated company is a listed company, there are 2 types of methods for calculating the fair value of a cryptocurrency, depending on whether a subsidiary or affiliate issuer is listed or not. One of them is what I introduced today, and the other is about unlisted subsidiaries. In the next video, I will explain the overall methodology and explain LineCorp Link as an example. For reference, Link has changed its cryptocurrency name to Fincha. The materials related to this video can be downloaded from the blog Invitation to the World. Subscribe, like, notification is a big help to me. Thank you. Hello, I'm CryptoBug operating CalCrypto channel. In today's video, I'm going to introduce the cryptocurrency valuation methodology related to corporate governance part 2. In the last video, when the consolidated company is a listed company, we looked through the case of a listed subsidiary or affiliate issuer in the case of Clayton. This time, the consolidated company is a listed company, whereas a subsidiary or affiliate issuer is not listed. As an example, I prepared the LineCorp's Link, which is now called Fincha. In this video, the contents of the primary copyright writings are applied as they are, and the expanded contents are covered. The purpose, target, and significance are all the same as the last video. You can see a diagram which shows that the consolidated company is a listed company, but subsidiaries are not listed company. Since all the subsidiaries are not listed, we have to use the financial information of the top-level consolidated fiscal statement. After dividing the sectors into crypto and non-crypto, and then the crypto value of a subsidiary in the crypto sector should be calculated. A typical company is LineCorp Japan, unlisted company which owns Link. So in the next screen, I prepared the specific calculations for Link. For reference, Link has changed its coin name to Fincha. Take a look at the crypto value formula at the bottom right. Then there is crypto value formula for cryptocurrency. This is a cryptocurrency calculation formula used in the case of a consolidated company listed and a cryptocurrency holding subsidiary unlisted. It is calculated by multiplying the value of the consolidated company's total intellectual capital, contribution to sales or profit of crypto sector, and the crypto weight. Prior to the specific calculation process, let me briefly introduce G Holdings located at the top level. G Holdings, a consolidated company, is a listed company on the Tokyo Stock Exchange and conducts business in four main areas: media business, commerce business, strategic business, and others. Representative subsidiaries include LINE Corp in the crypto sector, and there are Yahoo Japan, PayPay, others, etc. in the non-crypto sector. Here LINE Corp provides a mobile messenger, Yahoo Japan provides internet portal, and PayPay provides mobile financial settlement services. Please refer to the link in the yellow square box for the basic data for calculating crypto value. Use the link to prepare basic data on G Holdings financial information, trading price, exchange rate, etc. Then organize G Holdings operating cost in the notes to financial statement into crypto and non-crypto, and calculate crypto weight. Then the crypto weight is calculated around 50%. And for the convenience of work, the contribution of LINE crypto sector is first calculated. LINE's contribution is around 12% based on sales and around 30% based on EBITDA. Here we have to decide which one should be applied. One thing to note is that if non-crypto sector except LINE crypto sector are in deficit based on EBITDA, the contribution of LINE crypto sector to profit contribution is overcalculated. Therefore, it is better to calculate the contribution of LINE crypto sector based on sales rather than EBITDA, since sales are generated even in the deficit sector. And organize G Holdings' current and other assets, tangible assets, total assets, and liabilities in millions of Japan yen. And calculate the market capitalization of G Holdings through the number of issued shares and the stock price at each point in time. This is 2.9 trillion yen. Afterwards, if the intellectual capital of G Holdings is calculated according to the crypto value formula, 898.6 billion yen comes out. Let's take a closer look at the blue square box on the next screen. The intellectual capital of G Holdings is 898.6 billion yen, and if multiplied by 11.8% of the LINE sector's sales contribution, LINE's intellectual capital is 106 billion yen. Subsequently, if multiplied by the crypto weight of 49.1%, the value of the cryptocurrency link comes out to 519.8 billion yen. Finally, when divided the total number of issued coins, the LINE Corp's crypto value per coin is 7,422 yen and about 67,500 Korean won, considering the exchange rate. In terms of time, it is similar to the price level of around August 2022 and around March 2023. The trading price is lower than the fair value, so you can see it is undervalued about 40%. Here I have summarized the crypto value formula once again. I think you understand what the formula means on the screen. The cryptocurrency valuation methodology I introduced has two versions of can be classified into three components: general theory and corporate governance part 1 and part 2. In the case of general theory, intellectual capital consisting of human, structural, customer capital is calculated. Crypto weight is calculated and then multiplied together to calculate the crypto value. In the case of corporate governance part 1, crypto value is calculated by deducting the crypto value of a subsidiary and affiliate from that of the listed consolidated company by the percentage of ownership. In the case of corporate governance part 2, crypto value is calculated by multiplying the total intellectual capital of a listed consolidated company, the contribution to sales or profit of crypto sector, and the crypto weight. In other words, the general theory is a general market capitalization or relative value utilization method. The corporate governance theory is calculated based on whether the subsidiaries are listed or not when a consolidated company is a listed company. There are a total of 12 cases, 3 cases depending on the coin issuance level, 2 cases depending on whether a consolidated company is listed or not, and 2 cases depending on whether a subsidiary is listed or not. For example, in the case of A11, if coin issuance is at the consolidated level, the consolidated company is a listed company and the subsidiary is also a listed company, then deduction adjustment method of corporate governance part 1 is applied. In the case of B12, if coin issuance is at the subsidiary level, the consolidated company is a listed company, the subsidiary is not a listed company, then the contribution method of corporate governance part 2 is applied. Finally, in the case of C11, if coin issuance is at the consolidated and subsidiary level and 2 types of coins are issued, and both of consolidated and subsidiary are listed, then general theory is applied to the subsidiary level and the corporate governance theory part 1 is applied to the consolidated level. So far, we've reviewed the valuation methodology including Bora, Clayton, Link, Pinchon. In the future, I will show you the calculation of fair value for cryptocurrency without explaining the theory. A total of 11 coins are analyzed in CalCrypto now, so I plan to gradually expand the number of coin analysis in the future. Please look forward to it. The materials related to this video can be downloaded from blog Invitation to the Invisible World. Subscribe, like, notification is a big help to me. Thank you.